cactus and succulent growers, it's Lynn, and in today's video I'm going to be doing the cactus rescue by saving the pups from my Mammillaria gracilis snowcap cactus that has been suffering from rot due to being a casualty over the previous winter that we had here. Now, a few days ago I filmed a video on the cactus casualties that I have had from the winter, because we had an extra cold winter this year, and although I have a heater in the polytunnel that keeps the temperature normally at a minimum of 41 Fahrenheit, which is about 5 Celsius, because it was very cold, the heater was struggling to keep the air temperature in there at even 3 Celsius, and as a result I did lose some cactus plants. And if you didn't see that video of my cactus losses from the winter, then do check that video out. I'll link that video up above and down below in the video description. Happy to say I've checked over this Mammillaria gracilis snowcap, and there are plenty of pups that I can rescue. As you can see there, this has got healthy root system on it, and these are ones I already removed. And the reason why I did that is because when I did the video straight after, I actually wanted to check how this Mammillaria was looking, and I was so relieved to see that there was plenty of pups that I've been able to rescue. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to go through some of these as well. I think as you can see there's rot at the base there, but this one might be able to be removed. And the reason why I'm not wearing gloves or anything to protect my hands is because these are actually very soft. As you can see, no problem there touching these, and I am used to touching cactus plants after so many years, and people often say, Lynn, you must have hands of leather. Well, I actually think I have, because it doesn't really bother me. I'm not really scared of pain. But if this was a very prickly spiny cactus, obviously I'd be wrapping my hands up in newspaper or anything to protect my hands. So do bear that in mind if you're having to do the same type with one of your cactus plants. Now, I've already made a video as well on how to remove cactus pups from cactus plants, and that's showing you an example of a healthy cactus where I'm twisting the pups off. And this is a great time of year to think about propagating cacti if you have pups, so do check that video out if you haven't seen it also, and I'll link that video up above and down below in the video description. I just want to show you, this is one of my Rabusias, my Rabusia perplexa, that has the most gorgeous pink flowers, and it hasn't bloomed for the past few years. Very happy to say I've got flower buds coming up there, don't know whether you can see, and another the makings of a flower bud there, so very excited about that. Anyway, completely off topic, back to this. And what I've done here, as I say, I have sort of previously removed some of them to see what state the Mammillaria was in. Happy to see that it's savable, and this is the result here. You can see this is all rotten, and the white powder there is diatomaceous surf that I use on them over the winter months to prevent things like root mealybugs and other mealybugs. But sadly this is a complete goner, so there's a few that I might be able to remove off, as you can see this one here, and I'll see how that goes. But luckily I've got these that I've been able to rescue, so the plant is going to be saved. And happy to say, look at that, roots as well already on them, and this one is already rooted. As you can see, this it's already got lots of pups on it, and I can either keep it as it is and pot it up like that, or I can remove some more pups. But I'm going to remove some more pups as well, and I've got the pots here to pot them up in. And the soil mix I've used it a bit extra grittier than what I normally do. I normally use about 3 equal parts of loam based soil, usually Johnny Innes number 2 or 3, mixed with either pumice or grit and sharp sands at 3 equal parts. But I've used a bit more extra drainage in this extra grit because I want to be extra careful with this, because it has obviously previously had rot from the winter, and I'm going to be making sure it's extra well draining. So I've put a bit of pumice in as well as grit, and bit very gritty there. The most important thing is that you use a very well draining cactus soil when you're potting up cactus plants. So that's a little bit of my setup here and the pots, and now I'm going to show you removing some of the pups. Now, when it comes to removing cactus pups, and I do explain this in my how to remove cactus pups and propagation video, which I mentioned, is links to that will be up above and down below. It can depend on what you are removing. Sometimes if they're a bit firm, you're best to use a sharp scalpel or a clean knife, as long as it's clean and sterilised, to take the cut. And if for example, I just show this one here, You have to do that, and you've got an exposure of the wound. You have to let it fully callus before potting into dry cactus soil. And by callus I mean totally dry, so it forms a white crust. This one I'm going to cut back again and then let that dry for probably a week or two before I pot it into dry cactus soil. And then the roots will come from the base here, the base of these areoles or areoles. And that one is going to be kept aside. These ones, as I mentioned, have already got roots, so they can be potted straight up. So I'm going to see how this looks like. I'm just going to remove just a couple and just going to twist it like this. And do protect your hands if you've got sharp cacti. This is a very soft one, so I don't need to worry. And just gently twist. That's come away very easy there, as you can see. And that's another one. That's great. And this one as well, gently twist. There you go, little roots there. I'm going to pot it up as it is because it's lovely with all the pups on, and I want it to sort of keep it to how it looks with all the pups on. I don't need to remove any more, and it's already got a little bit of a root system there. So I'm going to be potting it up in the well draining cactus soil, leaving it dry for a couple of weeks, probably even a little bit longer, and then start to slowly introduce water just to get it back into active growth again. And these are all the pups as well. I'm going to pot up. Happy days. And these ones I can also pot up into their own little individual pots. Now I've put some of the soil at the bottom there, as you can see, and I'm going to be gently lifting this one up and placing it in there. And luckily, just want to make sure that the roots are actually, see down there, the roots are actually touching the soil, which they are. And then I'm going to be then putting a bit of soil around the edges. And when I repot cacti, I always leave them dry for a couple of weeks, even if it's the middle of summer, because when you're repotting, especially in this case where I've had to completely remove it from the rotting cactus, you need to make sure that you keep the soil dry, because watering straight away can cause issues like root rot because the roots have been disturbed. This one has a very shallow root system. It does anyway, the actual plant, because most cacti store the majority of their water actually in their plant bodies, so they don't need deep pots. Now I just want to see if this one that I mentioned earlier, this pup, as you can see, it's got orange on it there, which is a clear sign of rot. Now I could cut it and save the top bit, but because I have got plenty of pups, I'm going to remove this healthy one, and as I mentioned, just gently twist like that. Most of these type of pups come away quite easy with a gentle twist. Happy to say, yay, that's fine, no problem there. No orange rot, and it's completely sort of dry as well, so that should be able to pot up with the other pups. Now for the second largest pup I've saved, as you can see there, great little roots on it, no signs of any rot, so that can be potted up as it is. And gently place it in there, and again put in the soil around the edges. As I mentioned, you have to make sure that the roots are in contact. And what I'm going to be doing with these, I'm not going to be putting them back into the polytunnel, because I'm going to give these a bit of extra care. I'm going to be putting them under the grow lights in my grow room, because the extra heat in there and the extra light from the grow lights is going to help them to reroot and settle and come into a bit more of a faster growth now it's spring. And the reason why I don't want to put it in the polytunnel is because, believe it or not, although it's spring, the days have been quite nice actually, but the nights have been chilly. Like it was -1 last night, and a couple of 2, and when I say -1 I mean Celsius, only 2 Celsius tonight. And it's still chilly, so although this is a hardy cactus, as you know, it rotted throughout the winter, so I'm going to give it a bit of extra TLC under the grow lights. So now just left with these little individual pups, so what I'm going to be doing with them, a lot of these haven't got roots, so I'm just going to be very gently placing these on top of the soil, put a bit of soil around. I'm going to be treating these as cuttings. These little ones that have got roots, I can just gently place in there. And the reason why I'm using, I've got clay and plastic pots. I just went for pots that were sort of the right size. People often say to me, do I prefer clay or do I prefer plastic? And it really just depends. I like both. I think terracotta clay pots look far more aesthetically pleasing, but plastic pots are often easier for the fact, especially when you come to repot, they're easy to squeeze when you're taking them out to repot than clay pots. But the only problem I had with the plastic pots last summer was we had such a hot summer. I noticed that the pots themselves were heating up and causing a lot of the plants a little bit of stress because it heats up the roots because it was so hot in there. But you know, I like to use both. Just gently placing these little tiny bits of roots there, just gently placing them onto the top, putting the soil around, and then they're going up into the grow room. There we go. So I've got plenty of pups that I have saved from my big old Mammillaria gracilis, and it's going to be putting a bit of soil just around the edges here. Woohoo! That's them all potted up, and as I say, that's the remainder of the mother plant there, which as you can see, not good, completely gone. And these ones, I think that they're rotted. I'm not going to try and save them because it can be too much hassle just to cut them and let them dry up, because I think the rot is going to spread, and I've got plenty of pups that I've been able to save. So goodbye to the old mother plant, and hello to the pups I've saved. Woohoo! So that's it all done, and so happy to have saved these. And thank you all so much for watching. And one massive favour to ask you, if you could leave a comment down below in the video description, even if it's just a heart or a smiley face, because every comment really helps the algorithm and really helps my channel to continue growing on YouTube. And if you haven't done already, don't forget to subscribe. Do give this video a like. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Desert Plants of Avalon. And for regular articles on how to care for and grow cacti and succulents, then also do check out my website, desertplantsofavalon.com. I want to wish you all an amazing cactus powered day.